Like many Australian business travellers, I have been hugging the panda, both commercially and culturally, with China. It's not a surprise. China's bamboo shoots allowed Australia to survive the global financial crisis, and China now holds a unique trifecta with Australian trade in being our #1 export destination, our #1 trading partner, having recently taken over from Japan, and also the #1 source of our imports. Even when you look at our smallest businesses in Australia, nearly 5,000 Australian businesses export to China, and proportionately more SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, export to China and ASEAN than they do to Europe, which is not surprising, particularly with the issues of my big fat Greek debt bearing down on us in Athens. With China, we've seen a lot of action for a lot of us on the coasts, the big three: Shanghai, Beijing, and also the Pearl River Delta area around Guangzhou and Shenzhen. The Pearl River Delta area was chosen by Deng Xiaoping to open up China in 1980, and it's been the focus of a lot of economic activity with market liberalisation with China, and also, of course, it's been a source of a lot of immigration from southern China to Australia. Although in recent years you actually hear more Mandarin spoken than you do Cantonese on the streets of Sydney and Melbourne. In many ways, we've seen a lot of action on the coasts with the big three, but increasingly something's happening in China. As part of the Look West strategy, China, led by the government in Beijing, is wanting to basically grow its second and third tier cities in the west and in the interior. When I go to China as an airport economist, I'm told by my Chinese friends that these are mere country towns. Country towns? Well, if you look at several of them, Chongqing, 32 million in the region, Chengdu, 14 million, Wuhan, 9.7 million, and even Changsha is growing at over 6 million in terms of population. Hardly country towns. In fact, historians have called this the third wave of Chinese economic development in modern times. The first wave was, of course, in the Pearl River Delta, around the southern area of Shenzhen, a small, sleepy fishing village that became the mega economic metropolis that it is today. Secondly, the Shanghai Pudong area that has grown as China becomes more modern and financially integrated in Asia. And now the third wave is the growth of the second and third tier cities that we're seeing in the west and in the interior. In fact, the growth of the second and third tier cities drew the China 2.0 strategy led by the former Foreign Minister Kevin Rudd and the Trade Minister Dr. Craig Emerson to China late last year. Why has Australia got an interest in the second and third tier cities? And why has Australia so far been relatively successful in exploiting the opportunities? Well, I think there's 5 reasons. One is the diplomatic links between China and Australia are very strong. Gough Whitlam, the Labor Prime Minister in 1972, first recognised China and visited Beijing before Dr. Henry Kissinger and President Richard Nixon. Secondly, when exporters are surveyed, exporters are more likely to prefer a free trade agreement with China and ASEAN as they are with the United States. Thirdly, the trade complementarities really suit the second and third tier cities. These cities need airports, they need roads, they need civic buildings, and Australian architects, construction firms and educators are playing a unique role, particularly with our strong professional services culture in Australia. And particularly given the importance of financial services, a lot of this is helping the growth of these cities. Many of our architects and construction firms helped build the Beijing Olympics in 2008. And as well as them going to London this year, many of them actually used the Olympics as a foothold into China and then now moved west, and they're building a lot of the buildings and facilities that they provided to Beijing in 2008. Fourthly, investment matters. The Chinese dragon has spread its wings in terms of investment in Australia. Foreign direct investment has grown 252% since the Beijing Olympics alone, so that's been very important. And finally, immigration has made a big difference. Since 1989, we've had a big wave of Chinese immigration to Australia from the mainland, whether it be students or business migrants coming to Australia. Many of them, such as Jimmy Do of Dynalite, have returned to China and provided a lot of very strong connections for Australian companies. So Chinese immigration has actually helped build the trade links that we've seen. So in conclusion, there's a lot of excitement in China. The big three, Beijing, Shanghai, and of course the Pearl River Delta, provide a lot of excitement. But increasingly, the third wave of Chinese development in the second and third tier cities that we're seeing is also providing a lot of opportunity and excitement for Australia. So as China grows, we can say in Australia, thanks China.